Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans. The Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. And tonight we're going to talk about this life and death thing that the youth seem to have an affiliation with. We're going to talk to a brother who's going to join us. He's going to give us some higher thoughts on what's going on and what's happening, and what we should be looking for. Music is an art form that the indigenous people of America, if you listening to the indigenous music from America, you know it's some of the baddest music you've ever heard. I'm talking about all forms, even gospel, all of the forms of music as an art form in the indigenous people community is off the hook. In the late 1960s, there was a musical band that came out. You really don't hear too much about them, but ask your grandmama, ask your great grandmama, have you ever heard of a group called the Fifth Dimension? And the Fifth Dimension had a song called Aquarius. If you get a chance to listen to it, check that cut out. The song was talking about we are on the dawn of an age of coming where all information will be at your fingertips. Any question you want to ask, anything you want to know, you pull it up. Anything. In the 1960s, they were saying we're on the dawn of entering the age of Aquarius. We are smack dab in the middle of it now. Unfortunately, in this time, the people that you call Black, African American, Negro, colored, whatever you want to call them, they seem to have an affiliation with death. I mean, they don't even want to live out their lives. Here you're giving a gift called life, where you can do anything that you want to, especially if you're working with people in your group. Can do anything. The musical bands of yesteryear prove that to us. I mean, we like to talk about the music of the 70s. Well, what about the music of the 1920s that you were doing? Classical stuff. We're in an age now where information is at your fingertips. At your fingertips. You have all the money. You have all the jewelry. You have all the women. You have all the weed. You have all the alcohol. You got shit regular folks dream of. With all of that, the youth, it is being pushed on the youth that this is what you do. You kill. You end another person's existence for nothing. This is the picture that's being painted I mean, it's being painted. It's painted every day. When it starts to wear down, they ramp it up. Remember that. Why are these youth out here? And these aren't the youth of today. These are the youth, what, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, during Biggie's time, right? What's the fascination? What's the fascination with death that these young people have? I mean, and you see it in all forms. It pops up. I mean, you can't even ask a question to somebody and they'll get pissed off. You ask a simple question, a person will get mad and want to kick your ass. Ask any question. You'll be lucky if you find one who will give you an answer or help you find one. What is it with this death culture? Here to answer that question for us and give us a little light, shine a little light on it is Brother Jay Smith. Jay, where'd you go? Oh. So while he was here, what I wanted to ask him, and listen, this is what I'm gonna do about that. Okay. Here he goes. Here he goes. Jay, you there?
How you doing, Kerry? I hit the wrong button. I got disconnected.
Oh,
Peace
yeah,
and
man.
respect.
Hey, but so did you hear? Did you hear what I was saying before you got
Yeah,
kicked off?
I heard a certain up a certain point, and just tell me the last thing you said. Did you have a question or something?
Yeah, man. What is it? What is this deaf culture that these supposedly artists? I don't find nothing artistic about them. What is it with this death culture?
Oh, well, the times we're living in. When you mentioned about the age, the the I would say the powers that be, the lower powers that there is. Yeah, they're spazzing out. They exactly want um as much death as they can achieve with the last things that we've seen so far, starting in 2020. So that culture, it's real, and you're dealing with, you know, demonic forces or parts of your lower self that you have to keep in check. And some of the entertainers, they're involved in that kind of stuff. So they're minions. They're gonna respond to their overlords and carry out that type of influence. And each and every one of us has to be responsible enough to conquer not only our own demons but the influences that we see around you. You got to cut yourself off from it. I'm not truly up on celebrities in general, but when you stop to think about it, they are connected with some very influential uh, individuals corrupting the society right now. You remember, what was it, last year, or what was it, this year in the summer? I've actually lost track. Remember those Georgia Guidestones that you hear people referencing a lot? They
Right,
had destroyed them. Why
right,
you think they did that? Because there was something on those stones, written in stone, engraved in different languages, of what they really want to do. So yes, the age we're coming in, they're trying to stop uh, the population growth because they don't want certain energies coming in here that of a higher frequencies. Just trying to stop that. Same way with the abortion. You see, they try to push that. They're
right.
kind of up in arms because there's a pushback against that right now.
Right.
So when you really think about it, um, when the COVID thing came out, they had people running around advertising, trying to get people to take this questionable concoction
Right.
and acting like as if they're saviors of the world. Matter of fact, all the world leaders, they were all one in administering this stuff. And these advertisers running around trying to get you to take it, and to the detriment of others, they've actually convinced certain people in the world that even though they have an immune system, that their immune system wasn't good enough. However you want to place it, they convinced people of that. And now I don't know how many people have taken it, but I guess they didn't get the count that they really wanted. Now we're supposed to believe that these same world leaders that were one, now they're enemies against each other. Now they want to ignite a world war. You see how they flip?
Yeah, flipping.
Yeah. So a lot of people got caught by that. But it's very unfortunate, Kerry, because um, they never seen these beings for who they really were and what they were really doing. Now, look what some people are kind of regretting it. Last night I was in a clubhouse room. They were talking about the people that took this stuff and what it's been doing to some people, even children. They're having organ problems now because of it. Now, not everybody's having the same reaction because not everybody's getting the same thing.
Right.
But unfortunate is because of the nature of the technology, mRNA component, and everybody's getting something different. They're never going to know exactly what caused their their demise, whether it be heart failure, kidneys, cancer, whatever, because of the nature of that technology. They've actually hijacked the people's immune system. These pharmaceuticals have become the software company and you're the hardware. So now what they do now, they give you something, they hijack your immune system, they put it on manual, and now you got to get boosters. And now you give them power over life and death over you for something that's probably simple that your immune system would counter anyway in the first place. Very unfortunate, Kerry.
Yeah, before we go on, before we get deeper in this, I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Hey, Albertha, happy birthday, happy belated birthday. Amari, Sylvia, Gwendolyn, Mr. Borea, and Rondo Smallfoot. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Yeah, we want to get into this culture where death is always, that's the oxygen. Why is that always put on people? And the brother that you hear talking tonight is giving us the answers to why that's being done. Um, so now what? With all of that went on, and it put everybody in an uproar, and people were saying that people who wasn't vaccinated, they should be put to death. They should be they shouldn't enjoy life, liberty. They should go to jail, and all this stuff they were saying. Now they're backflipping on that. They're getting away from that. They see that the mistake was made, and it was just an article written in the Atlantic. I would suggest you might want to get a shot of that, of one of the ladies who were saying all these evil things that should happen to people who weren't vaxxed. Now she's saying maybe we just should forget about it because we didn't have all the facts. And the lives you have ruined by doing this. Do you think there's going to be any pushback from the masses for this, Jay?
Yeah. There's people pushing back, but how many there are, I'm not sure it's going to be enough for them to override because um, they have so many different angles which they come at people with it with the culture that they're trying to bring about. See, what they're trying to do right now is they're literally trying to control whoever is left according to their protocols. Some people seem to think that, you know, as they wave that carrot in front of their face, whether it be technology or things like that, they're thinking it's for the better, when in reality, it's a carrot to bait you into a direction you don't want to go in. Um, they literally want to. I think there was certain characters in the World Economic Forum. They basically straight out said that we don't need you, out of their own mouth, you know, and they literally used the word serf, which is a slave, that they actually um, consider those that they don't need as useless eaters, literally. So whether people are onto that, if there's enough that's onto it, your guess is good as mine. All I know is that, as an individual, each and every one of us, you have to maintain um, your frequency or the energy that is coming in so that you could handle what's coming around the corner and don't get caught up. You have to get out of the way because there's going to be a lot of friction. It's going to get ugly. I mean, I just heard recently, we discussed it earlier, over there in Illinois at the turn of the year, they're about to, uh, how would I say, open up the floodgates for people to do anything and everything, and they're not going to be detained whatsoever. They're going to unleash criminal elements. Call them what you want. You want to call them a demon, you could do that. They're going to unleash that on the populations. And then there's talking about this war and stuff. So, you're going to have to prepare yourself and just, you know, stay out of the way and don't get caught up in the mess that they're getting ready to create. Don't lose your cool. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, but that's being so as a group of people, what should we be doing now? I know you say we shouldn't be losing our cool, and we see what's coming on the horizon in certain communities. I mean, they've been ready for me for a long time. If you just search social media, you can see what these people are saying. If you go out into whatever city you in and go and see where these people work and how they're bringing all these immigrants in, you know something's going on. We can't be in the position where we're always trying to fuck each other over because we're each other's allies. I mean, so that's what I'm saying with this whole rap game. I mean, it's just, I mean, the music is garbage in the first place. I don't see how you get call it music. So is that playing a part on what's happening where these things that you're talking about they're coming into fruition, and it is those powers that be that is trying to keep our attention away from that.
The music or the entertainment industry, it serves the purpose of behavior modification, and it also serves the purpose to align certain elements within that are like among us to activate certain programming that they have received. There's some people that are um, that are triggered by certain messages coming out of these lyrics from these different sources of entertainment that only they will respond to. I'm not saying it's going to affect everybody, but it can affect you on so many different levels. And even the leaders, if you notice, you saw that thing I sent you with that guy up in Canada. He could barely talk. He didn't have no teleprompter or nothing. They're
Right.
rubbing it right in our faces. They're showing you how they're not only dumbing you down or dumbing down the society, they're setting the society up, those that get triggered by that, and they're trying to pull down the frequency of those that respond to that kind of stuff, you know? But it does have a role. It's gotten worse. I hear what you're saying. It's not music. It's more like it's a
Right.
trigger or something. It's being
Right.
used as a weapon.
Because there's no instruments at all involved. Everything is just, like this new technology that, like you said, is stringing us along, so to say.
Yeah. See, you don't know, you know, unless you have a history with certain people that you resonate with. Those are people you should be getting with. But those that you don't know, you're not gonna know who's who unless your third eye is open. You can see, because there are demonic forces operating within these people and in our people too.
Yes.
Okay, they're you can't sit back and go by the color of a person's skin. You're gonna be tricked every time. You can't go by that.
Right.
Unless you have a running history with an individual that you've been dealing with, because they're people, they'll talk the talk, whatever talk you've heard that you resonate with, they'll use those words, but they can only hold it for so long. You know what I'm saying? But you have
Yeah.
to have time to see whether or not they are what they claim to be. So you got to be cautious. That's how I see it. Um, what else? The I've moved away from the news many years ago, but even on the internet, um, you see they're censoring everything. That is already a signal of who you're dealing with. I mean, all liars employ censorship. They all do it. So now you
Right.
know who the liars are. So they put it in the algorithm to censor certain words, to censor your speech, to censor your communication with each other. And since you're mentioning music, what's interesting is I should share this with you. I've been listening to these um, brothers and sisters that call themselves Sabaeans, or whatever they call them. The
Uh-huh.
one thing that they have said about our people is that we've lost our language. We're speaking a language that does not connect us with the proper vibration and tones
Right.
to our higher ancestry. 'Cause a lot of people say ancestors, you got to reach your ancestors. But yeah, but which ones? Which
Right.
ancestors are you referring to? Are you
Right.
referring to your lower self or your higher self?
Right.
That's why they did the language the way they did. A lot of people, gravitate with these religions and not even realizing these religions are the problem, because see, you're dealing with the doctrines of demons. They're fallen beings that engineered these religions. They don't connect you to your ancestors in any way whatsoever. That's really what the Tower of Babel really is about. It says, let us go down and disconnect them from their ancestry by confusing the language. That's what that was about, and
So,
still
so,
is to this day.
so give us an example of that, modern day. Give us an example of that, how that's being done now.
Well, like I said before, we're speaking this language. It's not even a language, English, and there's no actual tone or vibration that's related to our our higher ancestry. They can't even see you because you're speaking with a different tone, or you're speaking a language that's not raising your frequency high enough. And then of course your intent. Sometimes you got to watch your thought life, and you got to watch how you talk to people and what you say, because see, you're broadcasting into the universe, and if you're negative, you're going to get that back. It's very important to know that you have to watch your thought life, and you have to, you know, pay close attention and how you react to other people. Don't get triggered just because of, things that you can just brush off, because you're making a choice every time you do that. You choose to play the role of a devil, or you could play the role of your divinity of who you really are. And it's
Right.
not just a role. I'm just talking about it's more of a conscious choice you're making on how you're going to live and how you're going to be towards each other. Very important. You keep your frequency by, you know, maintaining the spiritual laws of the universe. That's how I see it. Like, I'll give you a good example. Okay, I was in the service. I had to get out because I saw something for what it really was, and I couldn't be part of that. Like I've mentioned before, even though I have never actually been in a combative position where I actually had to kill anyone, um, that doesn't matter. I just couldn't be part of it,
Right.
right? So, you when you're in there, you have to follow orders. And the orders, regardless of what you feel or think about it, they must be followed. Well, I don't have to do that no longer. Or if anything, if it ever came down to anything relating to combat and things like that, I never have to worry about that. But see, um, the the activities involving wars, I've reached the point in my life where my conscience could not actually take that path and be okay with it. That's why I had to leave. Now, I have other orders that I am very comfortable with. For instance, I'm under strict orders to treat people the way I want to be treated. I'm okay with that, you know?
Right.
So, you know, it's a choice that each and every one of us has to make. Are you okay with those orders from your higher self on how you
Oh,
respond to other people?
oh,
You
of
know,
course.
you should be, but if you're okay with those other orders, now you got a problem, you know? So I look at it like that.
So you were talking about the religions earlier, about these religious sects. What do you mean about that? And indigenous cotton? We pulling you up after this question, Mr.
Yeah,
Smith.
these religions are strictly used as a weapon also. I heard one brother on one of the rooms. The guy used to be a Hebrew priest. He knows the language, and he breaks it down in terms of what that Bible is really saying. That Bible reads differently if you know the language in which it's originally placed in. It doesn't read the same way.
Right.
It's totally different. And you're given just the translation. This guy, when he was speaking in the room, there had some Hebrew Israelites in the back chat. It was almost like a hornet's nest was opening up. They were spazzing out in the background because them guys, they don't know Hebrew. This
Right.
guy knows it, you know? They
Right.
be spurting that stuff to us, or out in the street and things like that, and they're not breaking it down. See, you see, that's the problem. See, you're kept in a constant state of belief. You tell me how belief takes the precedence over knowledge and facts. That's impossible. It can't possibly happen that way. You cannot be in the right position from a position like that, a
Right.
subjective position. You can't. It's not possible. It's not good. I mean, what? Tell me, what is the energy of these beings, or the being that you refer to as what you say is God? What is the energy of this being that needs to be worshipped and actually demands it, needs the blood and flesh of other life forms? Tell me what that is. That's nothing, that's not something in the higher ethers anywhere. That's something that's presently, that's walking, manifesting itself as a being to these other ones that are responding to it. Now, whether they be secretive priests or not, that's not the point. The point is the requirements tells you you're dealing with something that has an ego and is jealous. What kind of relationship is that you're in? How in the world you could be in a relationship with some being that's jealous?
Man, you know what cracks me up about that? You know what cracks
What?
me up about that?
What?
In the Bible, when it say for you to beat your kids and show them no mercy,
Oh
put
yeah, spare the rod and spoil the child. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
put
Oh,
hands
it gets
on them.
worse. No, it gets worse than that. It's actually worse than that. There's a area of the Bible where it talks about where this this God is telling supposedly his children to eat their own children. And in the one section of the Bible, and you know it, it's in Genesis, Abraham, he's told to sacrifice his own son. Now, some people sit there and run and say, oh, that's a test. I said, what kind of test is that?
It's
You would
like,
actually commit yourself. It actually, it's at the point where I've come to the conclusion that these religions are completely satanic in nature. And you know what? It's going to take a lot to convince me otherwise. You're not going to prove me otherwise of what that really is. It's at that point where I've actually expressed this to another brother who happened to work where I used to work. I gave him a particular activity and I read it off to him. I says, "You actually condone this?" You know what his response was?
what?
He didn't see the wrong in it because his response was, "God is sovereign." That was his answer. So he couldn't differentiate between right and wrong because there was a deity added to the actual act.
Yeah, man. We're talking to them. We're talking to them folks. Hey, man, we got another caller on the line. Want to get in the conversation? Cotton picker. What's going on, homie?
Peace, peace, Caillou, Carlito, fam.
Cool, man.
Uh,
Thanks for joining us.
man, thank you for having me. Really, for real, I just want to come in and say from the bottom of my heart, man, to the top of my heart chakra, man, thank you. You changing lives out here. I can say that person for myself, but I've been hip to you good, what, 8 years now? And everything you say, I don't take it for a grain of salt. I actually research it. I might even win I walk, and that's just the end of it. So again, thank you.
Brother, you welcome. But check this out. You will find more instead of just researching. Go within yourself and what this brother's talking about.
Facts.
You got ancestors out here. Just find the ones that's gonna do you right. Because like he said, when we say ancestors, we never ask which ones. You have people around that's shooting you stuff all the time. We just got to recognize it. That's where you really gonna blow up, man. So you got people who made it possible for you to be in the position you in now, man, and they willing to help.
Appreciate, man. I
You,
love it, man. Like I said, you changing lives out here. I love talking to my kids about the information and making people mad that don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, just give it to them anyway, man. Just have them think about it.
All
You know,
day long, man.
yeah. So, brother, thank you for coming on, sharing your words with us today. They are really appreciated.
Thank you for having me, Kerry, man.
Yes, man, and come back and join us sometime.
I sure will. 100.
All right, brother.
Peace,
Thanks.
brother.
Yeah.
Peace.
So yeah, man. So what he was saying, man, is kind of like, other than the thank yous, is kind of like what you're saying. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
just a lot of these youth, man, they see what's going, they see it. They see, I mean, and is that why it's pushed so hard? Because there's a pushback on that end too?
yeah, there are people that are actually fighting it, but here's the thing: you would never hear that in the mainstream media. They're not gonna. Nothing truthful really comes out of there. You only get enough truth in order for the lie to roll right in, right on the back of it.
Right.
That's really how it works, you know. And now they're trying to turn the rest of the platforms into the mainstream media, including this platform with the censorship. Mainstream media has been censorship for as long as I've been alive, so
Yes.
that's no surprise. But when you're communicating, you know, out of your living room across the whole globe through the internet, when it first came out, it opened up a Pandora's box, and it also opened up avenues of information you wouldn't otherwise get unless you traveled the whole planet. You can actually, within your fingertips, get the information right there. And I knew they were going to close it down. They had planned to do it. They saw what it was doing. Now look at them. Look at the way they're acting now. They don't even make sense on any of the protocols that they're telling you to do. They're absolutely insane. They're out of their minds. And people want to follow that?
Yeah, but do you, so like this whole COVID thing. So I don't think they reach their goals.
I'm thinking that too. That's why they're going
Yeah.
with their next plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
they're
don't.
still going to string those people that took the shot. They're going to still string them along.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that's why
And
I
I
was
feel
saying.
bad for those people.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I feel bad for some of those people. I can't say for all because see, there are some that are actually arrogant, and
Right.
I cannot you know how could I say it? That's an individual that's an outright demon, flat out. There's nothing you
Yeah.
can do for something like that.
Right.
But for
Right.
those that just got caught in the crossfire,
Right.
those are the ones I feel sorry with. When I see people still wearing that mask, you're thinking to yourself, "Well, man, you should have got it already. Didn't you
Right.
see that shit didn't work all that time? That it wasn't really about the mask, and all you're doing is just, you know,
Doing what you're
uh,
told.
not only that, you're accelerating your demise by doing that." My father already told me when I was young. He used to see me cover my head while I'm sleeping. He says, "Don't do that. It's not good for you." I remember him telling me that. So sure enough, I know wearing the mask, you know, 8 hours plus a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that can't be good for you.
Right.
So, you know,
So, man, give us some information, man, we can use other than this stuff that we're being inundated with. What are some of the things you were saying? Stay away from all the negativity, the stuff that makes us focus on our lower selves. What are some of the
yeah,
examples?
euthanize that damn television like I did over 10 years ago, and you'll find out how it'll open up avenues.
Yes.
You won't be programmed, or you won't be um, being constantly bombarded or inundated with all that negative stuff. If it wasn't for prior to my retiring and other people, and I wasn't watching the television at all. Going out and watching these people wearing the mask, I would have never knew what was going on. So what the hell is this? You know?
Yes.
But I'm just saying that I wore it for a little while, but then after a while, just a little investigation on my own, I started to realize, hey, wait a minute. Remember I told you about that time I I tapped into the webcam over there in Iceland? Remember that story I told you?
Yes.
I think I said it in one of the broadcasts. None of those people down in Iceland were doing the protocols in 2020. I was watching it.
Right.
Watched a whole bunch of people go out on an amphibious vehicle out in the ice iceberg lagoon or whatever that was. Nobody was social distancing. Nobody was wearing a mask. I said, what the hell is this? And while here in America, they was thinking, pushing the stuff, you know, getting people all wound up, worrying about catching something, and they're doing that. So I tried to look out to find out why. What do I find in the New Yorker? They mentioned that Iceland defeated the coronavirus long before it got started here in the America. I said, how in the world is that? How is that possible? And I thought to myself, I said, wait a minute, this is bullshit, you know. So I stopped wearing it.
Right.
So all it took was my fingertips. That's all. I didn't have to travel. I saw it. I watched it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's one of the things that is sad to see, where people are just losing the ability to think for themselves, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
now you go out and you get yourself infected with something that you don't want. You never want that in your system.
right.
mRNA component. They're telling you trust the science. Trust. What the hell are they talking about? Trust the science. That's them telling you trust us. Forget the science. Trust the science. What are they talking about?
And there are more than enough people who remember Fauci from that AIDS episode. And I'm like, how do people, and I'm not talking about the news media, I'm talking about how do everyday people, and you've seen them when this thing started. When this thing was on and popping, they had Negroes, directors, athletes out there telling you to get this stuff. What's up? When they haven't apologized or said anything they're wrong, are those the demons that you're talking about?
Yeah, you see them every day. You walk by them. You see them on television. People thinking some hideous creature. No, 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 no. I ain't talking about the skin suit. It's what's underneath. You know,
Right.
can't go by that. You know, they are actually defined by what they do. You're defined by what you do. So
Right.
they sit there. They were offering money and chump change too. That was really insulting, very disrespectful to take this shit. And then their true colors came out when they started using threat, duress, and coercion. Now, I knew in my own right mind, anybody that comes at you in that kind of way, that's not somebody you trust. You know?
At all.
No, you do threats, duress, coercion. What kind of nonsense is that? I guess some of us are so used to that kind of treatment, we think it's normal. And there are some people that really think that's normal to be treated like that. Not where I come from. No, no, that's not normal. You know, that tells me that's an individual that I wouldn't even trust with my dog if I had one.
So what would you tell the so you have 15-year-olds out here who are listening. What would you advise them to do for
Yeah, draw from within. Just remember this: there is no authority outside of yourself. You incarnate here, and you're an eternal being. Since you're an eternal being, you have a connection to a higher source within your own, you know, ancestry, all the way up to the what some would refer to as the Most High, within your bloodline, within your genetics. And then you have these other ones that are even kind of so many levels below you that tries to pull you in the other direction. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to that impulse, those thoughts that tell you to do things that you know is not right for you. There ain't no authority outside of yourself. The authority is the one you look in the mirror. The savior is the one you look in the mirror. It's you. You just got to make up your mind what you want to do. And for some people, that's very hard. It's difficult. You have to meditate. You have to have alone time. Sometimes you may have to separate from certain influences, certain people, even people in your own family. I mean, this is a time of separation, not because of COVID. It's a time of separation because we're coming to a crossroad here, energetically speaking, within the universe or within the galaxy, I should say. I could say the universe too, or dimension. I put it that way. So you have to.
Okay, so before we get out of here, can you give us an example of what that crossroads look like?
Well, the crossroad has to do with the energetics coming in. In other words, those that have their frequency right will ascend to the next density. Those who do not have it that way, they will stay and they'll be in that descending motion, and then they're going to be witnessing all the horrors that you hear reference in that satanic Bible, in that book of Revelations. There, you'll see that nonsense that you read. If you ever read the book of Revelation, it reads like a horror story,
I
talking
never read
about,
it.
huh?
No, I never read it.
Oh
Hit,
man, you read that
me
thing,
to it.
man. It's like, huh?
Hit me to it.
Oh, it talks about all these cataclysms, but it also talks about, all kinds of activities going down with, beings that you would never even imagine exist. It's actually a harvest. A lot of people don't even know that that thing is referring to literal, uh, a harvest involving beings that need blood and need flesh, and they're coming from somewhere else. They literally use any flesh that they could get their hands on. Um, People may not think that it exists, but yeah, no, there are actual beings that eat people. There are people that eat people, and I ain't just talking about an animal. I'm talking about beings that are humanoid and who knows whatever in other forms that they appear in. They do exist. They're
Okay,
out there.
so check this out, man. So check this out. And this is how you know, man. Didn't they just have a movie about Jeffrey Dahmer was on the killing the airwaves, all in the airwaves a little while ago?
Yeah, I saw that, and so I never seen any. I think they had a television movie. It was made for television, or was it in
It
the
was on
theater?
one of these platforms, YouTube or Netflix or something. And they were showing this cat. I mean, I didn't get it because where I'm from, no dorky looking white boys coming up to none of us saying, "Hey, I want to take some pictures of your balls. Can you come with me?" I don't think I think that was a calling card, because if you just imagine that community in the 90s, or that was the late 80s, early 90s, that community in our communities, they were looked down upon. You couldn't come out the closet. I think that was a calling card because now you got these cats. I mean, they're just with it, over the top with it. And if you want to be that over the top with it, here, let me take some pictures of your balls. You can get over more over the top that you want. So you're absolutely right. People eat. I mean, it was shown with that, and somehow that would just drop from our memory. We act like that never happened. What is that?
I don't know, Kerry, but all I know is that I heard rumors that this character, um they only blew the whistle on him, but he was actually what um I don't know. Let me see. I don't want to misquote somebody, but did Jeffrey Dahmer work in the area of the hospital or something like that? Did he is it do you know anything about him?
No, I
Yeah,
think
well I overheard this that he had access to bodies in the morgue or somewhere. And I think there was something that went down with him in between the powers that be that run these hospitals and these areas would have access to, you know, these types of materials and bodies and stuff. And they just basically whistleblowed him and got rid of him. There's more of them, you know.
yes.
He ain't the only one, you know that. They always drove, a little um, sacrificial lamb here and there, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But I'm saying that there's some beings that are coming here, of which that Bible is based upon, that are going to want the women. They're going to want the the uh, the flesh and blood of the people that are on this earth. They're not going to let those bodies go to waste. They want those bodies. That's
But
why
could
the Bible reads like a farmer's manual with terms like ripe and reap and you know terms like that, farming terms in that book of Revelation. And the wine press, grapes being ripe and stuff like that. That's all that is.
but couldn't we say, I mean, since we've been seeing over the past 20 years these child abduction cases and these, these underground tunnels and all of this stuff and all these missing children, couldn't it be said that that's part of that also?
Yeah, that's been ongoing, but I'm talking about on a grander scale. That's what it's supposed to go down for those that don't make the frequency,
Yes.
because the they're plunging this because of the separation. They're actually, um you know there's a mad dash. There's a mad dash to have this harvest go down. There's going to be changes in our solar system, not just Earth. They bullshit the public, trying to sound like that they could stop the energetics that's coming in, which referencing the sun and planetary changes. No, this happened multiple times before on this planet, on this frequency, at this level before. It has. The planet shows it. The evidence is there. You know.
Right. Jessica Martin says Jeffrey Dahmer was deployed in Baumholder, Germany, where he served as a combat medic. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, he had access to the bodies and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Let me
So,
let me tell you something, Kerry. There's a sister that actually was mentioning that, when that war. Ask yourself why you always see. I don't know. Well, see, they don't advertise it, but I'll tell you. Every time war breaks out, there's a lot of UFO activity. Every time, all the time. Anyway, a sister was mentioning that some of the soldiers that came back from Afghanistan, they're not just messed up from the war. They're really screwed up because of what they saw, you know, when they were fighting in them mountainous regions down there in the Afghanistan. They saw beings coming out of those cabins taking the bodies
you know,
that you
you
would
know, I've heard,
never believe exist.
um, dude, I've heard the same thing too.
Oh yeah,
I've
I
heard those
personally
same
know somebody. I
things.
personally know somebody that was a Vietnam vet, and he told me, he said that but he was in the Air Force. He was assigned to an air base down in I don't know, somewhere in Southeast Asia. I don't know if it was Thailand or whatever. And he saw a craft. He said it didn't look like nothing that came out of any Air Force base, naval air station. or any airport, and he said it was quiet, and he said he never forgot that. Um, Very interesting,
Yeah,
but
you know,
yeah, they're real.
I think a lot of people, what you might want to do is, you ever see these brothers out on the street, they're ex-military cats who are just, it's like Jay was saying, they're not messed up because they were in the military. They're messed up because they seen something else. A lot of these cats on the streets, they'll tell you, but they're so messed up in the head, man, they don't even know if you're supposed to use water when you taking a shower. They messed up bad. And it would shock you, because I do it. It would shock you if you listen to some of these brothers' stories, because they not just messed up, but they got some real problems.
Yeah,
So
there's more to our existence than what they've been saying to us or telling us, and there's more. There's a bigger picture in terms of the dynamics of our not only here on Earth, but the universe and of course the galaxies and everything in it. You know, we're not alone in the universe. We're not alone. Um, we're sharing this planet with things that you would never believe exist, but they do exist. So, in the underground, in the caverns, under the oceans, there are things that, and then, leftovers from past genetic, modifications and things like that. This stuff is not new. Technology you're seeing, that's not new. That was in the ancient world, just as it is now. It's just that the cataclysms tend to wipe the surface clean of that type of technology. I mean, you have an earthquake that hits a major city. I guarantee you, if it's a very devastating one, you're not going to be taking water from the tap, and you're not going to have electricity. It goes just as much as that. It's that simple,
yes.
So yeah, so technology that's been presented to you as new, they're lying to you. It's not new. It's ancient. It's just you know, it just resurfaced. That's all.
Well, Jay, we coming up on an hour, brother, and I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me tonight, man. You always put a whole nother spin on stuff, and in these times, it's making us look at things in a way, the way we should be looking at them.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't like to end off on a sour note, but like I said, just keep your positive um attitude, and you know, just keep your frequency where it is. Think peaceful things. Think pure things. Have positive thoughts. And if there's somebody you really have to reconnect with to, you know, because of petty things, make it right. That's all. I'm not saying you have to still keep in constant relationship with such an individual, but if you ever did something that you regretted, you know, clear that karma, make it right. If you gotta apologize, something as simple as that, just do that.
Got it. Cool, man. Well, listen, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you much.
Same here, Kerry. Thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye. So there you have it. We kind of got off the subject, what we're going to talk about, but that was just as good. Things are changing, y'all. So, like the brothers say, get with the people who are vibrating on your frequency, people that want to do things, not the people who want to sit by and watch things happen. Remember, you are the one that's going, any change that happens, you're the one that's going to have to make it happen. Right? So I want to say good night to everybody, and listen, don't y'all miss Lisa. Lisa Cypress is back, y'all. So she gonna be with us real soon. So get ready for it. I want you guys to have a good night the rest of the evening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.